had this on my mind as I was thinking about the newspaper today, New York Times, particular article, Jonathan Weisman, about the use of the word fascism. And it's a funny thing, fascism, it's a funny thing, because we have the thing, but people are afraid to use the word. So let me start with the word. The word was made up by the fascists themselves. The word was made up by Mussolini. It was meant positively. It was the fascists praising themselves for being fascists. And then it became negative after the fascists lost the Second World War. The far left, the communists, the Soviets used the word fascists as a general criticism, and you still see people do this sometimes in some parts of the world on the left. And now we're at this curious place where, this new place in the 21st century where fascists call other people fascists. This started in Russia with Putin, and now we have it with America and Trump. People who are fascists calling other people fascists. It's something that I call schizofascism. And then they're very sensitive if you call them fascists yourself, and this goes for both Putin and Trump. So they'll call other people fascists, they'll be fascists, but then they're very sensitive if you call them a fascist. It's like fascism is itself their safe space, which is weird. So there's the word and there's the thing. So what is the thing? The thing is hard to define because the thing has always been about resisting reason, resisting logic, so resisting definitions, resisting clear concepts. Fascism is about precisely unreason. It's about emotion. It's about will. It's about will over everything else. And will over everything else means that institutions don't mean anything, constitutions don't mean anything, laws don't mean anything. The only thing that matters is the person who has the strongest will, who of course is the leader. The Führer, as they say in German, the Duce in Italian. And so fascism is characterized by a cult of the will, and then also a cult of a particular leader. And the leader is usually at the head of a single party. Because it's a cult of will, and because it's about a leader, power ultimately then is going to reside in some kind of big lie, some kind of huge alternative reality in which everyone can reside. That can very often be a conspiracy theory, for example, the idea that the Jews run the world, but it's going to be some kind of big falsehood, like, you know, I won a presidential election that I lost, that sort of thing. And fascism is going to depend ultimately on violence, and it's not going to have a problem with violence, because after all, if politics is about will, politics is about the leader, politics is about lies, then making the world match the lies to conform to the will of the leader is what followers are going to have to do. And that always means violence. It has meant violence very recently in the US in January 2021, and it will mean violence in the United States again. So that's fascism. That's fascism, the thing. Now, where are we now? So we're now at this funny point where I think, largely thanks to Trump being a fascist, but also thanks to J.D. Vance being a fascist, but thanks to some books and some famous people like Nancy Pelosi or Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris or Mark Milley using the word, now suddenly people are calling Trump a fascist. And of course he's being very sensitive about this, as he would be. A lot of this has to do, though, with a debate which has been on for a long time in other circles. Importantly, Jason Stanley wrote a book called How Fascism Works, which I think did a lot to mainstream this idea and the word, or to return the word to the center of at least academic discussions. And I think that had a lot to do with it becoming more public. However that may be, where we are now is that we have people who are calling the fascists, and the fascists themselves are being prickly about it. So what do we do?